people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched and Share Shots. We still have high hopes of delivering quality wrestling content, and if not, we'll sprinkle in pretty much everybody from the indie world, so we still get over. I'm your host, chef by trade and mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and joining me tonight is a writer and commentator from MEW Underground. He is producer of the Armstrong Avenue podcast with legendary ref Scott Armstrong. He is Big Mike. Mike, how are you, bro? Thanks for coming on and chat about some wrestling, bro.
Oh, I'm good, man. Just been spending time with the family and living it up, dude. So I'm doing great.
Good, man. You
How
guys have
about you?
a happy holidays, happy new year, all of that nonsense?
Oh yeah, it was great, man. In fact, I was talking to a buddy of mine, a wrestler earlier today. He was like, "Man, I texted him at 6 o'clock this morning. He's like, "What are you doing up at 6 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day?" I was like, "Well, I spent all night by my smoker, smoking meat." And he was like, "I was up partying." I was like, "Dude, I don't have the party lifestyle anymore. I laid in bed with my wife and my son. We watched the Georgia game, watched them get the miracle timeout, the miracle missed field goal right at midnight, and we we had fun, man. But yeah, great holidays. How about you?"
And it was great. Got to spend some time with the family. I was also watching that football game last night. My first tweet of the new year, the first tweet of the new year was actually like, 2023 did not start well for the OSU place kicker. Like the guy kicking field goals did not start his year on a good note. Like I was
Oh
like,
man,
man, that guy did it's a wonder for the rest of the year now. Only up from there.
yeah, he shanked it.
Yeah, he
He
did. It was
shanked it.
bad.
It
I saw
was
all kinds of terrible memes. The Madden and NFL 2K memes where like the field goals kicking way off to the left and stuff. I was
yeah.
like, man, they're ripping that kid to shreds.
I know he feels bad. I hate it for him. I'm a Georgia fan, but hey, it's football at the end of the day, and it's a sport. We all enjoy to watch it, but for that kid, he's got a bright future. He's a great place kicker, and hey, it happens to the best of us.
I'm a UT fan, born and raised in Nashville. Bleed Big Orange, lived in Knoxville for multiple years. I would never actually root for another SEC team, but a win's a win for the conference. I'm one of those fans because a Georgia win equals money for our program down the road. So I'm a realist in college football. UT is not a national championship contender. They could be in another couple of years, but I didn't expect them to do as well as they did this year.
Yeah, they did really well. Their quarterback was phenomenal. Going to go into the NFL.
He'll be a day
Hooker.
two or day three pick. He'll be in that
Yeah,
fourth, fifth, sixth round.
if he wasn't 26 years old, I think he'd probably be a first rounder. But I think the last time somebody got burned drafting a near 30 quarterback was the Cleveland Browns with Brandon Weeden
Oh, that was a pick there. That was going
out
deep.
of Oklahoma State. Hey, I was a fan of old Brandon Weeden, but hey, we all make mistakes.
What was the quarterback from Kentucky, the big boy? You remember him?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Never
You talking
mind.
about the one who ended up playing arena football, about like
Correct.
300 pounds?
Yeah,
I know who
big
you're
ass
talking about, but
linebacker guy.
yeah, I can't remember. He played till he was like 45 and almost on dialysis.
Bingo. All right, man. We could probably sit and talk about football almost as much as wrestling, but let's kind of start at the top here. You're kind of the first booker, first commentator, first promoter we've had on. We've talked to a ton of talent, but let's kind of talk about how you got into the wrestling business and stuff like that, because you kind of took an atypical route.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did. Man, I've been 7 going on 8 years. I worked in fire and EMS, and right after CM Punk come back in AEW, I was sitting at the fire station talking to one of my coworkers, and we both didn't know that we were fans of wrestling, and we were like, "Hey, that's cool." And 2 days later, I texted him and said we should start a podcast. And he's like, "Nobody's gonna listen." I said, "I don't care. Like why go to therapy when you can start a podcast with your buddy?" And it went from there, man. We started a Bury the Gimmick podcast. It's still around. You can listen to it. Um, it was something, man. It was something else. We talked a lot about like the 90s and the early 2000s of wrestling that we grew up watching, and that evolved into he took a leave of absence and I took over the podcast and I just brought on guests, and man, I just went way farther than I thought I was going to go with podcasting, and ended up meeting. I got a phone call one day from Dwayne Bell. He's the owner of IWN, the Independent Wrestling Network. He called me and he said, "Hey, I hear you know a lot about podcasting, and we live in the same town. You want to come talk to me? I got this wrestling company, and I got this app, and I really need to talk to somebody like you who could help me with it." And my dog just showed up out of nowhere. But Dwayne called me and he said, "Yeah, do that." So I went and talked to him, and he explained this wrestling app he was getting started. He had a wrestling organization called Main Event Wrestling that he was getting off the ground, really, because for years he had run under the IWN banner. But whenever he started the app, he wanted to kind of rebrand the wrestling promotion. And so he was kind of trying to change that up. And I come in and I was like, all right, well, what can I do? What can I do to help you with any of it? And he said, well, we need somebody to come in here and help us do social media. We need somebody to come in here and help us build graphics. We need this and this and this. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing with building graphics. I started building crappy graphics on Canva, and I took to getting Photoshop, and now I use Photoshop for it. But getting my foot in the door in Main Event Wrestling was me just coming to the shows and helping put the ring up, helping set chairs out, helping really my first real gig doing anything in wrestling was I did the entrance music. I brought my laptop and I set up all the entrance music, and I did that for probably 6 months, and then I started helping with the booking. And then just occasionally I'd reach out to wrestlers, and then things happen. We had our big show, and I don't really know how it all worked out, but almost a year later, the owner of the company, Dwayne, looked at me and said, "You're pretty good at this. Why don't you kind of take over?" And and I became the booker, and I was already the promoter. I promoted the crap out of everything. I'm really good at that. And somewhere in there, Scott Armstrong got involved after WrestleMania. Dwayne went out to WrestleMania weekend, and he basically met him at WrestleCon. And one thing people don't know about Dwayne was a wrestler for 20 years here in Georgia. He worked the indies in Georgia and Alabama, a part of the Georgia Boys and the Southside Trash tag team. So he worked a lot with Bullet Bob and Brad and Steve and Scott themselves, all of them. So they were all friends. And Scott had just recently got released from WWE. Dwayne was like, "Hey, I got this wrestling promotion. I could really use you, as not just a referee, but doing some helping our guys do what needs to be, know how to work TV, work the hard cam, work the things he did in WWE for 17 years." But and then Scott and I kind of hit it off, and we became friends. And I said, "Hey, dude, why don't we start a podcast together?" So we did, and that's my full-time job now is podcasting and wrestling. And that's kind of, I don't really know how it happened, but I'm here and I'm living a dream, man. Ever since I was a kid, I've been a wrestling fan, and I wanted to be a wrestler as a kid. Everybody wanted to be a wrestler as a kid. Everybody wanted to grow up and be Stone Cold or The Rock or John Cena. I wanted to be Eddie Guerrero. That's who I wanted to be. But I got fat and old and blew my knees out and my back and shoulder surgery, and I can't do that shit. I took one bump one time and said, "This ain't for me." So doing what I do in the promotional and booking and just working with the wrestlers day in and day out I love it, dude. It's a dream come true.
You guys have a huge show coming up January 28th down in Georgia.
Yeah.
A Storm is Coming. Looking at that show being the first show in the new year, what were some of the hurdles and some of the highs going into that show? Every show's going to have one, and it's right around the corner. Like, what's your hype level for A Storm is Coming?
Well, the hype level, man, is huge. Everybody's excited from the bottom to the top. We've got some big debuts coming to Main Event Wrestling, and we're really excited about who we're bringing in, such as Lady Frost, who was recently with Impact Wrestling, NWA. She's now been seen down in CMLL in Mexico, main eventing CMLL in Mexico. I mean, that's just crazy, dude. for her. She's such a talented female worker. I'm so excited to have her come in, as well as her husband, the Savage Gentleman Victor Benjamin. He's going to be making his debut in a match where two people will be debuting in that same match. It's him and Ashton Starr, which a lot of people don't know about Ashton, but he's an independent worker. He's worked all over. He's worked AEW. He's phenomenal. We've got Trevor Eon, who is a great worker and a good friend. And Skrilla the Great's going to be in that match. It's going to be a banger, dude. When I tell you that match right there is probably going to set the pace for the whole show. We've got Matt Cross debuting, which anybody don't know who Matt Cross is, look him up. He's the indie god almost. I mean, he's phenomenal. And the hype level is great. We're having to go to a new building, which is going to be a little bit different for us. We're going to be at the Kiwanis Fairgrounds. Normally, we run out of the Upson County Civic Center down in Thomaston, Georgia, and that's our home, But unfortunately, they said because of basketball season, they didn't want us in there during that time period, and it kind of threw us off. And then we were going to go to the National Guard Armory in Griffin, and it didn't hold enough people, so we had to move right next door to the Kiwanis Fairgrounds to their building. And we're really excited, man. And it's just like life. There's going to be hurdles. You just got to jump over them and keep going and do the best you can.
That's a hurdle you don't mind having to have those when a building's too small. That's
No,
a good sign.
We do not want to turn people away.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal is to have that's a goal. Have more butts than seats, like have to get a bigger building, have to keep pushing and getting bigger. There's a term floating around in wrestling right now. It's the forbidden door. I personally hate this term because I love seeing promotions work, and it almost puts like this negative nomenclature with the idea of cross promotion and inter promotion work. MEW is, I would say, revolutionizing this. You said it yourself, from NWA to Impact, MLW, Dragon Gate Pro. You guys are taking like a who's who of some of these, promotions, and you're bringing them all together. What's it like working to get so many great talent from all over the wrestling world from so many promotions? Like, what's it like to have to handle all that?
The hardest part's booking flights. Like, it's easy to book a worker, man. You just go, hey, are you available this day? And if they are, they are. And hey, everything works out that way. The hardest part is getting them to you, because a lot of them don't live anywhere around Georgia, especially like you said, we're working that deal we got with Dragon Gate, and they're in Japan. So
transport's a little complicated.
Yeah, they can't hop in the car and drive here in a couple hours. But it works out, and what we're trying to do is we don't want to be your regular independent promotion. What we want to take MEW to is to be, a promotion. When you think about top promotions, we want to be on that level. We want everybody to succeed. We just want to succeed, at a grander stage. We bring the production, the lights, the talent, the matches. We've got Scott Armstrong producing our shows. We're just trying to get our name out there is what we're really trying to do, because we do have phenomenal talent. We've got phenomenal athletes, and we just want people to know about it.
So you said it right there. I'm going to kind of use what you said as a segue. Production level and production value. When you think about independent wrestling, there's not a lot of governing bodies left. That's not the territories. It's not the 70s. There's not an NWA. So when somebody says indie wrestling, that could be, a mud show in somebody's backyard with a tarp ring, all the way up to an MEW or a Limitless Wrestling. There's not a lot of the in-between. What is MEW doing specifically with production now? Because with the IWN, MEW Underground, the flagship program, everything y'all are doing, what's some of the production stuff you guys are doing to take it to the next level?
Well, we just try to be a little bit different with lights and sound and the screens we have, as well as we want to put on a good show, man. And that's what people want to see. They want to see the stories. They want to see the lights. They want to see the superstars. And we want to build superstars, and that's kind of what we're trying to be. We don't want to be different per se, because there's 1,000 wrestling companies that have done it right. It's a proven trend, but we want to be our own brand, and that's kind of where we're going.
So being in your seat, coming up as a fan, I can only imagine the amount of wrestling you've watched. You know what I mean? You've seen a ton of wrestling. Do you find yourself taking ideas from stuff you've seen in the past, be it, a Jim Crockett Promotions all the way up to a WWE, do you kind of find yourself looking and taking ideas and then adapting them to make them an MEW story? What, like, I guess in other words, like, how are you keeping those creative juices flowing? Like, what are you doing to stay ahead of the curve creative wise?
Oh, well, tried and true, dude. Some of the greatest storylines were built in the territories. I mean, I wasn't raised on territory wrestling. I came in 99, 2001, those days. But as an adult and as a fan, I've gone back and I've watched a lot of that. And the storylines that were built in 1982 and 1985, and, especially in Southeastern, I tell everybody, if you want to see quality wrestling that you've never seen before with great storylines and some of the best athletes in the world, Southeastern Continental Wrestling was phenomenal back in the day. And if and we t- we pride ourselves on being a little bit more old school with our storylines and with what we do because of who we have running the show. Dwayne Bell is an old school guy. We try to keep it a little old school, but throw in that new school flavor too, and Scott Armstrong, he's producing it, and we just want to keep. So yeah, I take a lot of what we do. We all do, our production team. We all like to try to take some of that from the old school days and mix it in with what we're doing now.
So, kind of looking at it, the Southeast has always kind of been its own territory. Even now, with their, I keep using that term a lot, but I look at it in indie wrestling as if the old territories were still there. When I talk to the guys from Northeast, and I kind of find out what the different vibe is like from the territories, and it's still very much there with the crowds and stuff. Do you see a lot of differences in the individual places when you guys work different spot shows in Georgia? Is there a lot of differences in the crowd, or is it pretty much carrying the
Oh,
same?
dude. So we ran in Hampton, and the crowd, we did when we run in Thomaston. It's about an hour ride from there. So the crowd we had some of our people who would come from both to each show, but honestly, the crowd was totally different. It's a different crowd from one city to another, and it's just who that those people are, and so yeah, it is different in each town and each territory that you go to.
Okay, so another question, kind of along the same lines. At MEW, you guys have a who's who of southeastern indie talent. You guys are pulling from everywhere from Jacksonville in Florida all the way up, all over the place, Atlanta. Like I said, kind of a who's who. But a question for you though, when you're handling all those personalities, what's it like? Like to kind of have to manage all of them, keep them all in line, keep the train rolling, so to speak, from your seat now.
From my seat, I just kind of sit back, and if somebody gives us a problem, we don't honestly. We have one of and I've been told this by some of our wrestlers. We 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 strive to keep a quality locker room. If somebody's causing problems, they don't come back. We don't put up with the drama. We don't put up with that stuff. We've had it in the past, and the minute it happens, we're like, hey, take your shit and go. Excuse my language, but that's how it is. Don't come back. We don't need you here. We've got 500 other talent that are scratching at the door to get into what we're building at Main Event Wrestling. So if you don't want to be here, go. If you want to be here, hop on the train and let's build something together. So that's how we kind of do it, and we're having a blast doing it. Being on the ground floor of what MEW is fun because we've got, like you said, some of the top talent in the Southeast as well as all over. I mean, we've got people flying in from all over the world to be a part of what we're building, and it's exciting. And I know we do have, like you said, personalities. Everybody's got a huge personality, but I think a lot of people do work well together. And one thing is like we're all man enough to know if we've got a problem and we do have, a little heat, we can either fix it or we don't. And if we don't fix it, those people don't come back.
It sounds like I already know the answer to this next question then. But one of the things I love and am fascinated most about with these conversations is the feel in the locker room. And I've had a chance to ask people from WWE to Impact, AEW, all over the place. Right now, to you, what is the feel in the MEW locker room like going
Oh,
into
dude.
this new year, going into the new shows?
Oh, dude, we're excited. Everybody is excited. we're taking things on the road next year. I mean, our guys are going places that they've never gotten to work before. Sheridan, Wyoming, April 29th. We're bringing a show to Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming.
That's
We've
amazing.
gotten
That's a hell of
we
a drive from Georgia,
Yeah,
Bubba.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're telling me, like, and I'm excited, and they are too. They're excited because they know the potential of what we have and what we're gonna do is gonna be something special, and they're excited to be on board with it. I'm getting text messages every day. One of our wrestlers literally texts me every day and says 2023 is gonna be our year. 2023 is the year for what we're doing, and it keeps me going because it knows I'm doing my job right. Because our guys are behind what we're doing, then we just got to keep rolling.
In the wrestling business especially, you've seen companies like AEW pop up out of nowhere and they go 0 to 100. After you get to a certain point, there's always those companies sprouting up and coming into that 2 and 3 and 4 spot coming up. What's it like knowing that MEW could very well be, that next in line, so to speak? Like there's not a lot keeping you guys from, I don't want to, you guys aren't just another indie. You know what I mean? Like that's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Is what's it like knowing that you guys are building something like that?
It's exciting and terrifying at the same time, and stressful. I mean, I've been in the back of ambulances with patients who are dying, telling me that hey, tell my kids I loved them, and that was stressful. But this is pretty stressful itself. It's scary to know that what we're doing is going to have such a major impact, or could have such a major impact on everybody around us, but it's exciting at the same time, and it's just trying to have fun while we're on this ride, enjoying it and living in the moment, because like I've said, I'm living a dream that I never thought I'd get to do, and being a part of something like this is something I never thought I'd get to do. Because when I first got on with MEW, I think our first show I went to, we had 12 paying customers, like 12, dude. And we went from 12 to I don't know, we're putting easy 500 a show in right now, and going into 2023 we're hoping to up those numbers. But
That's crazy. That's amazing. Like not crazy in a
and
bad way. Like consistently putting 500 butts in the seats is tough for any wrestling promotion, and for you guys to be doing it every show, that's nuts. Like that's huge. Giving you guys your roses because I see how hard that is every day covering indie wrestling. Like to
yeah,
get 500 people consistently is tough.
yeah, our last show, I don't know if we broke the 500 mark. It was Halloween weekend and kids were out trick-or-treating, but we were damn close. I think we were sitting at about 400, and the show before that was closer to 700. So
That's
I'm kind of averaging out about 500 here, but you know
that's
we're
amazing. I mean, that's
and,
the
and
goal is the draw, right? The goal is the gate. Get people, get butts in the seats. Tell them a story they want to
right,
keep coming back for.
and on top of that, you said the goal is to draw the fans. And to draw the fans is great, but to draw the fans in,
Mm-hmm.
like when you got fans up out of their seat screaming for the heel, or cheering for the baby. That's, to me, that's what it's all about. I couldn't care if I have 500 fans screaming and cheering like that. I'm happy. If I've got 50 fans screaming and cheering, I'll be happy with that too. But I'm much happier with 500. I'll be much happier when I'm putting 5,000 people in a building.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Looking back at 2022 though, what's your wildest memory for MEW in 2022? Put you on the
Oh,
spot, make you have a memory real quick.
oh man, wildest memory, dude.
Something fun that stood out to you as the booker or promoter, a moment you were proud of, a spot that y'all booked that was like
Oh
chef's
man, dude,
kiss
easy,
perfect.
easy, 100% easiest. The greatest moment for me was when Carly Bravo won the IWN Heavyweight Championship. Putting that match together, it was him, Zicky Dice, who everybody knows, outlandish Zicky Dice. He
Hmm.
was a triple threat match. It was Carly, Zicky, and Chad Skywalker. And if you don't know who Chad Skywalker is, come to MEW, watch MEW. You can go on YouTube right now and you can watch that triple threat match. It is on the MEW YouTube. That match was phenomenal, and the payoff for it, Carly winning, was chef's kiss. Perfect. Carly Bravo is a top notch dude, and he's the best person to have that belt on right now. But really, A great, just a magical memory for 2022, just the whole year, dude. Being able to be a part of this and travel, go out and work the towns and meet people, and I'd say just working with Scott Armstrong, man. Every day that I get to learn from somebody who sat in a room under the man who built professional wrestling to what it is today, and for him to sit there and go, well, this is how Vince said it to me. This is what Vince said, and to learn from somebody who learned from that and was at the top of the mountain for what I want to do, and to have that and be under that learning tree is a magical moment for me. And just so every day I get to do that is special, man. And the day I don't get to do it anymore, I won't be mad. I'll just be looking back on it, going, "Hey, I did this." I can tell my kids I did this. So
This one is a perspective of a fan. Before we went on air, you and I were kind of talking about it. I said that you and I have walked similar paths getting into the podcasting and stuff like that. This is purely as a fan, just as real and just as shoot as you want to make it. What was it like for you that moment you woke up for the first day and you were like, holy fuck, I'm in the wrestling business for real now? Like, what was that like for you as a fan to be like, this is it, this is what I'm doing now?
The moment that hit me was that I was like, man, this is really. It was I'd quit my job as a fireman full time, and I was pursuing wrestling full time, as in this business. And it was at our July show, and we had Tommy Dreamer, Scott Steiner, Buff Bagwell was there, and we had a smorgasbord of WCW and old, throwback guys were there, and we had I looked out the curtain, man, and there was just so many people. The place was packed, dude, and I was like, I'm really here, like, and Tommy Dreamer acknowledged me as the person who put those people out there, and that that was to me. I went, holy shit, like you, like what, like hardcore extreme, just said, yeah, that's Big Mike. He put those people here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he did that in the locker room. Nobody else was around, and we also had Road Dogg at that show, and he ribbed the shit out of me continuously throughout the day. He's a great guy. But that was it, man. That was the moment where I was like, man, I'm a part of this. I'm a part of this business, and people know who I am, and so that was it. That was a great day.
Has there been anybody that you come across since you've been with MEW and you've worked with so many great talents? Has there been anybody that you had to fight back that urge to fanboy over?
Road Dogg.
Yeah.
Road Dogg. No, I mean, so when I first got into this, it was like that. It was like, holy shit, are you freaking kidding me? There's Teddy Long. But then, you're hanging out, you're smoking weed with Teddy Long on a regular basis. It's like, and then I become, I start doing the podcast with Scott, and I'm hanging out with people. I'm literally doing work for Jonathan Gresham. One of my other gigs was I was working the sound for some of Gresham shows, the modern age grappling, and I was helping him out with whatever he needed. So it went from being more of a fanboy to more of like, I'm not really a fan anymore. I'm a part of this.
When your friends start being wrestlers and other promoters, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I don't. So honestly, I had a friend of mine call me the other day. He's like, "Dude, where have you been?" And I'm like, "I just work, just dude. I talk to wrestlers and promoters, and that's it, dude. And that's who I spend my time with, you know, all the time. Bryce Cannon. We talk on a regular basis.
Great dude. Just had him on the show.
Yep,
Fantastic worker.
Yeah, phenomenal guy. We talk on a regular basis because he's been doing this for a few years, and even though I do have this position, I don't let it go to my head. I still want to make sure I'm not screwing up. I want to go to the guys who've been doing this, like Bryce and like Skrilla the Great, who's one of our guys. I go to Scott on a regular basis. I go to Phil Stamper on a regular basis. I don't know if people know who Phil Stamper is. Phil Stamper is, he works for Wrestling Revolver. He works for MCW. He works for a lot of places. He's also like a genius with social media, and so I go to him with a lot of questions when it comes to promoting and social media and things like that, because that's what he does. He builds companies through social media, and so we talk at least every 2 weeks on the phone for about an hour. We so I have a great core group of people around me that really um they're like my, not really, I'm trying to think, like they're, I don't know, it's, they're friends, but they're also mentors too.
Your
So
circle. It's just a good
yeah,
way, just a good
yeah.
blanket way to put it. Your circle of people that you surround yourself with in the business that just coincidentally happen to be wrestling legends, but like it doesn't hurt, but
Yeah. Yeah, I want, and my other thing is I try to put all my friends on to jobs too. Like I want to bring my friends in, but at the same time, they got to be willing to put in the effort too. And I had another friend of mine who's I've had on my podcast before, and or his name's Ryan. He's a great dude. He told me, he's like, "This is you have found your thing, man. This is your path now. You're in it." And he always told me I should have done this years ago. We've been friends for probably 8 or 9 years. He said you should have done this 8 or 9 years ago. Whenever you found, but now you found it. So here you are.
I got one more question before we get ready to wrap everything up. One thing MEW is doing is shining light on women's division of wrestling. Period, across the board. Vicky Dreamboat right now is one of the top competitors in your female division. What's it like booking women's wrestling going into 2023 for you?
It's hard. Women stay booked, man, and it's a great thing because there's so many talented female workers out there, and we try to surround ourselves with some of the best female workers we can find. Vicky Dreamboat, personally, she is a phenomenal worker, but she's a better person. If that makes, she's a phenomenal worker, but her as a human being is what makes her so
She's
special.
it's another shameless name drop, but she's
Yeah,
also been on the show with a little bit before Bryce, and an amazing person, just on
yeah.
and off the camera, just a great woman.
And we're bringing in Lady Frost in 2023. She's been great. Camille, the NWA Women's Champion, she's coming in. Ashley Dambois has worked for us in the past. We have had some phenomenal people come in. Ashley Dambois will be back in 2023. We announced today we've got Mila Moore, who works in the Florida territories. She's coming in at the Dothan show. So yeah, we're trying to put a spotlight on great women's wrestling, and not just make it what some people try to make it as an attraction match. Or we want it to have more than 5 minutes, because these women can go, man, and we want to give them that spotlight to do that.
All right, Mike, this is it. I close all of my interviews with 5 random questions, some having to do with wrestling, some not. I got yours ready. You good?
Oh, shoot them at me, buddy.
All right, man. If you're eating French fries and you don't have ketchup, what's your go-to condiment?
Ranch.
I feel like ranch is good with anything fried. Anything that comes out of like a deep
Yeah,
fryer should get ranch, anyways, right?
ranch all day.
Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
Dude, so it could be.
That's a
I
very
think
philosophical approach to it.
it could be. Yes, you could actually slice it in half and make a sandwich out of it. So,
So, what's your favorite venue you've had a chance to book a wrestling show in?
I mean, the Upson County Civic Center has been great to us. I mean, it's got plenty of room, plenty of space. But what was home for a long time was the Underground Fight Factory, where Micah Taylor trained a lot of our guys out of. But we don't have that building anymore. So, the Upson County Civic Center. I'm excited about our building in Dothan in 2023 at the crossing at Big Creek. It's a phenomenal location. It's sitting on a 10,000 square foot uh, casino. So
That doesn't hurt.
no, no, not at all.
Who's your favorite superstar growing up?
Oh man, dude, Eddie Guerrero.
Always a
I mean,
solid pick.
dude, Eddie Guerrero was that guy. And but even more so for me, and I'll get a lot of flack for this. It was Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was, he was about my height, and you know not a lot of wrestlers were back then. So
He was
a
the
great worker.
perpetual underdog, man.
Yeah, all the time.
100%.
And I'm not gonna go into detail about everything that happened. Just say that, and I could probably go with another one. But Eddie Guerrero was one of my guys, and Jeff Hardy.
Always a Hardy fan. I came up in
Yep.
that Attitude Era. You
Yep.
know, like
Yep.
I was a teenager when Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy broke on
him,
the scene.
yeah, the first time I ever seen Jeff Hardy was whenever he called out the Undertaker after that match.
Mm-hmm.
That was it for me. I was like, this is my dude.
All right, the last one's weird. All right, what is your least favorite song? If a song comes on the radio and you're like immediately like, nope, fuck this, turning it off. What's that song?
Ooh, that's a great question because I don't know. Let me think.
It could be an artist, maybe not particularly a song.
Anything by the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Anything by the Chicks now that they go by. Anything by them, really. I like music, man. So that's hard to really navigate that question. I'm a big fan of all types of music.
I ask a favorite band a lot, but this time I was looking for a question for you, and my producer was like, ask him his least favorite song.
Oh man, least favorite song. Anything my kids find that they can sing nonstop. Right now it's Jingle Bells.
Whatever the trending TikTok sound is, it usually earworms its way into me till I can't stand it anymore in most cases.
Yes.
All right, Mike, this is my favorite part of the episode. I don't have to say anything, man. Plug your stuff. Tell everybody where to find you. Find MEW. Find the IWN. Find all your stuff. Plug it.
All right. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Big Mike the Host. My podcast with Scott Armstrong is Armstrong Avenue Pod. We've got a Facebook group called Armstrong and Avenue Podcast Fans, and that's where we do a lot of our posting and giveaways and things like that. We do the Ask Scott segment through there, which everybody seems to love. You can find the MEW at MEW Underground on all social media platforms. And so that's where I'm at. And check us out. And if you're around Griffin or Dothan coming up, man, we got a great show January 28th in Griffin, Georgia, and February 25th in Dothan, Alabama. Come on out, support independent wrestling, support MEW.
I changed pages and completely forgot to bring up Championship Carnage on 225. So that's a plug for you. It was written down right there, and it doesn't have an X next to it. Now I'm going to X it off. Championship Carnage.
Championship Carnage, 225, Dothan, Alabama. We're excited about that one. We've actually got, I know we kind of said we got the Dragon Gate guys. I'll kind of plug that real quick before we get off here.
For sure.
The Dragon Gate Tag Team Champions, which is their Open the Twin Gate Champions, KZ and Big Boss Shimizu, which I probably butchered that, but I don't know. They're from the stable Natural Vibes, will be in action in Dothan, Alabama. So it's exciting, man. I'm excited about it. Thank you for having me on your show, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Dude, Mike, I appreciate it. It's a great conversation. When I look down at the clock and I already see how much time has passed, I'm like, that's a good conversation. Like when it feels that easy. But I appreciate you stopping by and chatting about some wrestling.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for listening to it, and it's fun not being the host today.
You don't have any of the responsibilities, right?
Yeah,
just hand them off to me.
Yep.
Cool. Manuel, now as we close another episode of Botched, Spots, and Chair Shots, I want to take a minute. Thank you for listening. Remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet. Like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how terrible I sound. Either way, it helps the algorithm and it helps find new listeners. For Big Mike, I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.